Hello, good people of YouTube, Mountbatten here, and today we have the new Tier 5 Premium American Battleship Oklahoma for the First Impressions review. So the way you can get this ship right now, as of me recording this, is only through the collections that has launched today, which is the Ships for Victory collection, or what are they calling it this time around? The Always Courageous collection. The only way you can get the ship right now is through this, which means it's also a free ship. And you get these collectibles through containers that you can earn through directives and such right now. You can earn, I believe, 27 of these for free just from completing these directives. Or you can also purchase them in the premium shop. And the premium containers are actually not that bad for what they give you. They give you special signal flags and coal and free XP. So unlike some prior events where the containers weren't that generous, these ones kind of are. But again, this is a ship you can get completely for free, and I do imagine it'll be in the premium shop after this event for the normal price of a Tier 5 premium ship. They normally do this with ships that they release via collections, like the Prince Idle Friedrich. That was available in the premium shop for some time, but I don't think it is anymore. But anyway, let's go ahead and look at the ship statistics. No captain skills have been applied or modules equipped. And let's take a look at her armor. First off, so she has a 19mm bow. Is it just 19mm everywhere? No, it's 25mm everywhere. 19mm upper plating, 25mm lower plating, 25mm torpedo bulge plating, 19mm stern, 19 stern deck, 19 deck, 19 deck. I'm seeing a common theme here. Alright, and let's go ahead and look at her citadel. Oh look, turtle back. That's nice. Oh, angled citadel as well. So there's our citadel. It is slightly above the waterline, although you do have to get through that before. So she has a 343mm armor belt with a 273mm lower belt. So looks like she's pretty well protected, like the other American dreadnought style battleships. Okay. Survivability, she has 48,000 hit points and only an 18% torpedo protection damage reduction, despite having that much torpedo protection around the ship. Gotta love it. Gotta love it. Alright. Continuing on. She has 48,200 hit points, which, let's compare that to the New York real quick, or actually, well, the Texas, because I don't have the New York imported. Oh, no, I do have the New York import. For some reason, it's a primary ship, or whatever that bar is supposed to mean. 49,100, so it's pretty par for the course there in terms of hit points. It's a little bit lower. So her artillery, these are the big point of the ship. She has an interesting setup, to say the least. She has 14-inch guns. She has 10 14-inch guns. You have two sets of 14-inch guns that are in these triple gun configurations. Then you have the double gun configurations on top of them, so a very unique setup there. And despite one set of guns being the Mark 8 and one set being the Mark 9, they're literally the same. So you have a 40-second reload time on 10 guns, which does kind of suck. A 60-second 180 time, which is pretty normal for USBBs. A maximum dispersion of 231 meters, and a maximum HE shell damage of 4,900. 27% chance of starting a fire, and 59mm of HE pin. Her AP shell does a maximum damage of 10,000. Has a maximum range of 17.1 kilometers. Both AP and HE shell initial velocity is 792 meters a second. Now, her secondary guns, in her description, it says that she has accurate secondary guns, and we will be testing that out today. You do get 8 of these 127mm Mark 13s, which has a 4.5 second reload time, a maximum HE shell damage of 1,800, 9% chance of starting a fire, and 21mm of pin, and a maximum range of 5.5 base. And the other sets are not identical. These have a 7-second reload, even though they are 127s. They have a 6% chance of starting fire and a 5.5 kilometer maximum range. That's interesting. I think The only difference is the barrel's a bit longer on the Mark 13s, so naturally they have a longer reload time because I guess fun isn't allowed if you have a long barrel. Anyway, so the maximum range of the ship is 17.1 kilometers base, and it does have access to the Artillery Plotting Room Mod 1 consumable module, but more on that in a bit. A defense of 43, it's a tier 5 American battleship, what do you expect? Maximum speed of 19.7 knots, again, pretty typical for a tier 5 American battleship with the speed flag on. You'll get just over 20 knots. Turning circle radius of 610 meters and a rudder shift time of 13.4 seconds. And I do believe it does have the really good, that's my Discord, not yours, it does have the really good turning speed bleed coefficient that the other low tier American battleships have. Alright. So concealment base is 13.1 kilometers. Detectability by air is 10.2 kilometers. Alright. So I'm going to go ahead and module her out and put a commander on here, and we will see what she is like. I almost forgot to go over her consumables. So she gets damage con, of course. She gets the American repair. I'm sorry, it's the American damage con and the standard American repair party. It's not the improved one that the higher tier American battleships get. And she does have spotter plane with no choice of mounting a fighter. Now I'm going to go ahead and module her out, and I'll be right back with you guys. So this is interesting. For giggles, I didn't think I was really going to run with this build. I just put my Massachusetts, Ohio, Georgia captain on here to see how far you can get the secondaries out. And it's pretty impressive for tier 5 standards. You can get the secondaries out to 8 kilometers at tier 5. Yeah, and it cuts it down to a 4-second reload on the Mark 13s and a 6-second reload on the Mark 7s. So yeah, that's interesting. This is with the secondary modules too. We may run with this just for fun, just to see what this is like, just to see if it's even worth it. But yeah, that's something. I'm probably gonna wind up like swapping it out halfway through the review, but I may do a couple of rounds like this just for the lulz. But anyway, so this build that I'm may or may not keep on for the duration of the review is the secondary build that I use on all my American battleships. So preventive maintenance, MLG turrets, adrenaline rush, superintendent, BFT, AFT, and manual fire for secondaries. And I was just going to go with a bog standard battleship build, so same up here, but then superintendent, basics of survivability, then fire prevention, and then concealment. But we may run with this just for fun, just to see how it goes. I mean, it is tier 5, so 8 kilometers, that's pretty darn far by tier 5 secondaries level. I don't even think the German tier 5 can really get out that far. Let me see where the freaking Koenig is at and compare that. Now, this is 21 millimeters of pin, which should be okay by tier 5 standards. Okay, so on the Koenig, the secondaries can only get out to 6.8 kilometers with a secondary build on them. Let me make sure. Yeah, that's with the secondary modules as well. That's interesting. That's very, very interesting. Alright, so what can they pin? Okay, they can pin 26 millimeters though, so. And the 150s obviously can pin 38. So we'll see how this goes for now. And let's just go ahead and jump into battle with the Oklahoma. Oh, I forgot. I don't even have the flags on yet. So, oh my god, so the secondaries can get out even further. So let's just see what this does. The speed flag on there. Gotta put my flexing flags on. So now with the secondary, oh my god, it's not the secondary flag on. They can get out to 8.3 kilometers, and the Mark 13s have a 3.8 second reload, and the Mark 7s have a 6-second reload. This is going to be a very interesting run. Alright, I'm going to see you guys in battle now. Alright guys, so the Oklahoma, how is it? Well, honestly, it feels like a tier 5 American battleship. It doesn't feel much different from the Arizona or the New York or even the Texas. The only big difference that you will notice if you do get this ship is that the main battery guns are quite accurate, especially for tier 5. Now, they're not like railgun accurate or anything, but unlike most tier 5 battleships where you line up your shot and fire and kind of hope you hit the target, you have a lot more confidence that with the Oklahoma you will hit the target. Now, so far the build that I was using, I actually kept the secondary build on because one big change to tier 5 is that bots now fill in vacant places in order to keep queue times low. So bots like to unga boonga. And, well, it's kind of fun having 8 kilometer secondaries when bots are doing this, even people as well. And they're not overly amazing secondaries or anything, don't get me wrong, but they are definitely very helpful when dealing with ships like destroyers and light cruisers when you have a 40-second reload on your main battery guns and you have a well, even with MLG turrets, a 48-second 180 time with your turrets. So they definitely help out in that regards, and no, they can't melt down a full health DD or cruiser quickly, but hey, by the time they've gotten that close to you in a tier 5 game, they've probably taken a couple hits already, and they're perfectly capable of finishing off half health DDs, and they are pretty accurate, again, for tier 5 standards. I mean, even if you go look at the German secondaries at tier 5, they're not exactly accurate. They're kind of all over the place. And the Oklahomas are, most of them will hit their target unless it's, like a DD maneuvering at maximum range or anything like that. But overall, the ship feels pretty solid. Is it worth whaling the containers for? Not really, no. Because if you do want to whale the containers to get it, you will spend at a minimum of $100 in order to get a tier 5 ship, when you could simply do the directives and get the ship for free. Or just wait until the directives are done and over with, and I have a pretty good feeling that the ship will more than likely be available in the premium shop after that. Wargaming hasn't come out and said that, but again, like I mentioned at the start of the video, with past ships, that certainly has been the normal operating procedure. But I guess we'll see how it goes. Other things to mention about the ship, the firing angles on the turrets are actually pretty nice, because you don't have to show a lot of sight to get your rear turrets off on target, but the turret layout certainly helps because it has the same caliber guns and same amount of guns that the New York has, but you don't have that one turret in the middle to where if you want to get all of your guns out on target, you gotta show a lot of your side to get that middle turret off. You have 5 guns on the front, 5 guns on the back, and that is very, very nice, and they are very, very accurate, again, especially for tier 5 standards. Now, the big issue is, of course, that 40-second reload time. It makes it a bit boring to play in some regards, because when you are just sitting outside of secondary range and just waiting for your guns to reload after shooting, it feels like it takes an eternity, because, I mean, 40 seconds, I don't know what's with Wargaming and their obsession over the 40-second reload time on battleships now, but sure, whatever, but with the armor layout of this ship, it's chunky, so you're going to take a couple hits here and there, and if you have Adrenaline Rush equipped, you will be down to about a 36-35 second reload time, and not very long, but even at that point, it still feels like it takes pretty long. But again, a 35-second reload time on these guns is pretty darn nice. And again, with your secondaries, with Adrenaline Rush, they're going to be firing a lot quicker too. And with the bots pushing in, and even, again, tier 5 matches are just universally closer, and an 8.3 kilometer secondary range at a tier 5 match is extremely good. You'll find yourself having a good bit of fun in this ship. Now, I didn't get up tiered in the 4 matches that I played this ship for, so I don't know how the ship would perform in a tier 7 match. It does have 14-inch guns, which aren't large by tier 7 standards, but they certainly aren't small by any stretch of the imagination. So you'll be able to hang in there, I'd imagine, with the range, because you still have a 20-kilometer maximum range with the fighter consumable. So that's certainly going to help you out by tier 5 standards. And your HE's fairly decent. It's not amazing. And again, 40-second reload kind of cuts down on the HE spam capabilities of the Oklahoma. But, you know, you still have 14-inch American AP with the plunging fire at maximum range, which is very, very good. But, I mean, no tier 5 ship really does well at tier 7, and the Oklahoma certainly isn't going to be an exception to that either. But overall, the ship feels pretty good, like I mentioned earlier. It feels really solid. It feels like a tier 5 American battleship, just with more accurate guns and better secondaries, and what looks like to be some of the best secondaries at tier 5 so far. They don't do a lot of damage in terms of pinning, but they do have the ability to start fires pretty easily, and I believe in the match you're watching now, they started 3 fires on this brawl that you're either watching right now or already watched. It was like 2 or 3 fires in a very short amount of time, so that's nice. Fires do plenty of damage, and you got that going for you. And they also act as DD repellent, because again, with 40-second reload on these 10 guns and a 48-second turret traverse with MLG turrets, it's nice to have around just in case a DD crops up. Would a survivability build be better? Probably so. I mean, especially in the meta that is modern Warships, survivability builds are almost always the better choice to go with, but for fun factors, I would say a secondary build is acceptable. And again, with bots just, you know, going for it, it's pretty fun at tier 5, surprisingly. I'm probably going to take my coning back out with a full second build on it and see how it does at tier 5. And again, guys, these are bots in random battles that are easy to kill, easy to farm damage off of, so it's very easy to do very well at tier 5 right now. So, wrapping up the review of the Oklahoma. Overall, it's a solid ship, feels like an American tier 5 battleship. It's fun in some instances when you've got those bots just coming at you, and or even when you have players coming at you and you're operating around 10 kilometers away, 8 kilometers away, you get your secondaries into the fight, your guns pack a punch. They seem to be accurate just as well as close range as at long range, and the ship can hang in at long range. The dispersion is very consistent. It's not all over the place like a lot of other tier 5 battleships, so it feels like a pretty solid ship, and I would say just grind the directives, get the containers, and get you the Oklahoma that way. Totally not worth whaling the event unless you just want the coal and the signal flags and all that good stuff from the containers. But as a tier 5 ship you can get for free or for normal tier 5 price, I'd say so far for the first impressions, it's alright in my book. Not fantastic, but far from terrible. Just a nice solid tier 5 premium ship. Thanks for watching, guys, and a special thank you to my Patreons. They for sure made this video possible because I was able to whale the event to get the Oklahoma to review for you guys as soon as possible, so shout out to you guys. If you did enjoy the video, make sure to drop a like, leave a comment, and subscribe. We are on our way to 20,000 subscribers. We just passed 18,300 not that long ago, and I cannot thank you guys enough for that. Hope you're all having a wonderful Thursday, and I hope to catch you guys in the next one.